Everyone and welcome to Code on Fire. Today we will see how to create a crouch system in the latest version of our real engine, which is 5.4. And we will start to introduce ourselves with a new animation retargeting system. To create a crouch system we need a third-person project and the animation starter pack, which you can download for free in the marketplace and add to your project. As you can see, the compatibility is up to 5.2, but it's not a problem. We can click on Add to Project and check Show All Projects, so that it also gives us the projects created in Unreal 5.4. Select the project that you want to add the animation starter pack. As you can see, the resource is not suitable with 5.4. We are suggested to choose the closest alternative version, therefore 5.2. Click on Add to Project. In the content row, we will find the animation starter pack added to our project. Here we have all the animation that this asset provides us. In this case, we need to animation where the character is crouched but still, and where it walks forward. Let's go to inside the animation retargeting system. We can do it by selecting any of these animations, right-clicking on choosing retarget animation. We have to choose a source which is the money of the Real Engine 4. This one here. We will have to give our target. In this case, we are going to give our queen. Here it is, skeletal mesh. To do this, we just need to find the animation we are interested in, click twice, and as you can see, it already gives us the preview of what it will be. There are two versions of crouch here. This one of them, and this is the other. The other one. We can choose the one we prefer. For example, let's choose this one, the crouch rifle iron sight. We click on Export Animation. We will find it again inside the content row in the folder where we exported it. We continue by exporting the crouch walk. We simply write crouch FWD where the characters walks forward. We choose iron sight heaven in this case, so it's the same as idle. Let's go to export animation again, and we will even have the export of this animation. These animations will then be used to create the blend space by creating a transition that goes from the idle state to the walk state. A further step that must be taken is to create an input and then choose a key which, once pressed, activates the crouch system. To do this, we go to the input folder that you find under the third person folder. In this case, we will insert this crouch system into what our Unreal makes available to us by default. In the Actions folder, there are already the 3 default inputs. We need to create a new input, so let's go inside the content row, right click, let's go to input, and let's add an input action. Click on it and rename it. So AI, which stands for input action _ crouch. Once this is done, we will have to insert the input into the IMC that is given to us by default. So let's go to the plus button, open the drop-down menu. Let's get our IA crouch, the input we just created. Here we will have to insert the button. Once pressed, it will activate the crouch system. On the keyboard icon, we click with the left mouse button and then press Z, for example. I choose Z, but you can choose the key you prefer. Now you can immediately go and enter the input. Let's save everything to make the changes effective. Let's go back to the input and see that the type of input we have given is a boolean, so true or false, which the type that is given to us by default when go to create a new input, that being so we can leave everything as it is. Perfect. So once this first step has been taken, we need to create our crouch system starting from the third person character. Let's go here in Blueprint, third person, and double click. Inside the event graph, there are other inputs that have already been implemented. We now need to implement our input that relates to the crouch. We can do it down here, for example. Here, right click, let's search for AI underscore, here it is, we can click here. We will have our event node regarding the crouch input. Now, going to this arrow, let's click on it and a whole series of possibilities will open up. In this case, we will choose started, simply because we want our crouch to be triggered at the exact moment we press our button. There are also other possibilities that we'll see in other tutorials. We'll pull the connection, search for crouch. We are shown two functions, crouch and uncrouch. We will actually need both. Let's take the crouch first and then pulling another connection. Let's choose the uncrouch. The system obviously doesn't have to be connected in this way. We need another node that gives us the possibility of being able to switch between the crouch function and the uncrouch function. In this case, the flip-flop node, which is a switch. So more generally, you can use it whenever you need a switch. We have already created our input, which will need to be passed to other class to get the animation. When we press the input button for the first time, the crouch function will be activated. Pressing the input button again will activate the uncrouch function. By switching between the function, we will modify the size of a character's collision capsule, making it shorter if it is crouched, and instead leaving it unchanged in size when the character is standing. For all this to happen, we must directly select the third person character and go to the details window and look for crouch. We need to tick can crouch here. If we don't take this possibility as true, these functions will have no effect on anything we do. Another important thing that we'll find here in the character movement is the crowded half A, which is now 40. In fact, the size that the collision capsule we take on once we have applied the crouch will be given. Let's leave it so we go to the capsule component and search hidden. Here it is, rendering, hidden in-game. When this variable is checked, which we find not only in our capsule but in many other components, when we go to play, this capsule will not be visible. Instead, let's also make it visible in the play mode, and so you can see what happens. So let's uncheck here by setting hidden in-game to false. Let's compile again, save, and return to our scene. Now our character does not have the appropriate animations to be able to do the crouch. However, we can see that by pressing the Z button that we have chosen as an input, our capsule will lower or raise, confirming that our system is working. This is an aspect that must be implemented in the scenes if our character is crouched. It must also have the possibility of passing through lower passages. If we do not shorten the capsule, our capsule would collide with the asset and therefore the character would not be able to pass under it. If the size suits us, we can also keep it, as it is given to us by default. Otherwise, we can raise it, for example, to 60. We write 60, compile and save. Let's go back to the game scene again, and by pressing the Z button, as we can see, our capsule will shorten but will be taller than it was previously. Let's now implement the animation part. In this case, we have to move to the part of the animation blueprint that we find by going here to Character, Mannequin, Animations. There are two animation blueprints, ABP, so animation blueprints. One related to Queen and one related to Money. If we go to Queen's blueprint, we will be told that this is just a child animation blueprint. Therefore, we must refer to the animation blueprint of Money, because it practically turns out to be the parent in this case. So any change we make within this animation blueprint will then also be transferred to the animation blueprint of the character we are using, and therefore Queen. Here we find the event graph and here the animation graph, where we find the system of transition that allow passages between the different state transitions. So from a state, for example, idle in this case, to a walk-run state, which as you can see is two-way. Now, before we go and insert our animation into this part, we should create another resource, which is by going to Animation, Legacy, here, our blend space. As we can see, there is a blend space in this part, but we can also refer to a simplified version that is 1D, that is one direction, one dimension. Because all we need in this case, the creation of more complex blend spaces, will be explored in depth, but for the moment we try to keep the discussion as linear and direct as possible. So let's choose this mode. Let's go and choose our Queen skeleton, which is precisely the armor that refers to the armor or our character. Let's rename it as a crouch blend. In this blend space, we will create the transition that will occur between an idle type crouch, so when our character is still, to a walk type crouch. So when our character starts walking in the crouch position. As you can see here, we have all the animations available. We will need the animations on which we retargeted previously. We're looking for crouch here. So we click with the left mouse button and drag it into this area. Let's go and put the diamond right at the beginning. We have inserted the first animation. Let's now insert the walking animation and then crouch walk forward. Drag and drop, let's put it here in the final part. Now by pressing the Ctrl key and the left mouse button with the mouse cursor still in this area, we can move this X to see what happens during this transition between one animation and another, and see how it behaves. Here in axis settings, horizontal axis refers to this part, therefore the horizontal part. Let's open here and give it a name, which in this case is speed, because we are referring to speed. Let's give a range from 0 to 300, it could be fine. Check on the loop that is already given to us by default. Let's move the diamond to the end again. All we have to do is save everything, return to our scene, and here it is, our blank space. Now let's move inside the animation blueprint again. Let's first set up the event graph part. We must connect to the update animation event node. Here we must necessarily add a pin, so let's go to the plus button. Let's add a pin, and in the references take the movement component, drag and drop, get, and connect it to the isCrouching node. Here it is. We need a variable that we will have to set to give information about the character status, if it is crouching or not. So let's move here into variables, create a new variable, plus button, shall we call here crouched, with a question mark to give a greater meaning. Let's take the variable and bring it inside the event graph. Set and connect our isCrouching to the crouched variable, and our variable to our event node. Going to take the pin that we created and going to connect it to it. Double click on the connection and let's arrange it in a more suitable way. Once this is done, we will then be able to have information about the status of our character. Let's compile. Let's now move inside the locomotion and go inside the idle. In this case, let's articulate this state more, because at this moment there is only that of character standing. Let's also add that of our character who remains still but crouched. So let's look for idle in the search, where we find the crouch idle. Let's click, take it and drag it. Now we will have to connect these two animations to the output. To do this, we will use another node, which is the poses boolean, blend poses by bool. Click on it to add the node. In this case, we will connect the characters idle when he's standing in the true pin. Instead, the crouch idle animation at the true pose pin. The true or false state will be given by the variable crouched. So let's connect it to the node. When we go to press Z for the first time, this variable will be true because we have triggered the crouch function. When we press the Z key again, however, this variable will become false because the uncrouch function is activated, and therefore we will move onto this animation again. Let's connect our blend poses to the output. We should also carry out a similar operation in the walk run state. So let's double click on walk run. Let's move these nodes. Let's search for blend poses ball again. Let's left click. In this case, the upright position will always go to pin false, and instead the blend space that we created previously, which we called crouch blend, here it is, we will get it by dragging it into the animation graph. Left button, hold it down and then connect it to the true pin. Also in this case we are going to take our crouched variable and we're going to connect it to our active value. Let's go connect the blend poses to the output. We will connect this speed pin to the ground speed variable, which will take its value exactly here. Here it is the set of the ground speed variable. As we can see, it always comes from the movement component, where the velocity is taken, and then through the vector length returns the character speed. We can take this value and use it within our animation graph. We compile, save, and return to our scene. Go to play. As we can see, we can walk, jump, and if we press the Z key, our character will crouch. If we start moving, the crouch blend we created will come into play and our character will start walking. By pressing the Z button again, he will return to the stand-up position. That's all for now. Thanks for watching and subscribe to the channel.